the inequality sign. Inequality. An inequality in mathematics is a statement of an order, direction relationship of greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, between two numbers or algebraic expressions. So here you have two versions of the inequality sign. I normally call it the head of an arrow pointing. It always points to the lesser value. Now, as you can see, it has an opening and it has a point. So the name for the opening is greater than, and the name for the point is less than. The name for the point is less than, the name for the opening is greater than. But the sign on a whole is called the inequality sign. And always remember, in mathematics, you can read from left to right, you can read from right to left. So if you're starting from left to right with this sign, you will say greater than. But if you're starting from right to left, you will say less than. So that very same sign, depending on where you started, you can say greater than or you can say less than. So please refrain from calling that sign the greater than sign. Because if you start from the right, you will be saying less than. Likewise, do not call this sign the less than sign. Because if you start from the left, you will say less than. If you start from the right, you will say greater than. Now, whenever you see this sign, the inequality sign, always try to begin reading from the letter X. Instead of saying X, you can also say all the numbers that are. When you start with X and you meet the opening, you must say greater than. When you start with X and you meet the point, you must say less than. It all depends on where the X is. If X is in the opening, you say X is greater than. Now, apart from saying X, you can also say all the numbers that are greater than, if that's where the X is. And you can see the arrow is pointing towards the right, you know. But that very same arrowhead pointing to the right, if you start on the right side, that's if the X is on the right side, then you will say X is less than. So that very same sign, you can either say greater than if you start here in the opening, or you can say less than if you start at the point. And apart from saying X, you can say all the numbers that are less than if you start at the point here. It all depends on where the X is. So for example, if the arrowhead is pointing towards the left and you start on the left, you will say less than, all the numbers that are less than. But if you start on the right, let's say the X is on the right side here, you will say X is greater than, all the numbers that are greater than. Here are some examples. X is less than 5. X is greater than 5, sorry, because this is the opening. X is less than 8. Always start with the X. X is greater than 10. X is less than 18. All the numbers that are between 10 and 18. All the numbers that are less than 8. X is greater than or equal to 12. All the numbers that are greater than or equal to 12. X is greater than 2. X is greater than or equal to 2. All the numbers that are greater than or equal to 2. So it all depends on where the X is located. So this question says, write down the inequality which describes the region shown in each diagram. So I'm going to do an example similar to A. So for part A, as you can see, the circle starts on 1 and the arrow is pointing towards the left. So I can make my circle start at 4, pointing towards the left. The question says, write down the inequality which describes the region shown in each diagram. Remember we said when you see X, you can see all the numbers that are. So this is actually showing all the numbers that are less than 4. Because numbers like 3, 2, 1, 0, if you extend it, all the numbers that are less than 1, less than 4, sorry. In my example, write down the inequality. Now, instead of saying all the numbers that are, oh, just got an idea. I'm going to write it in words first and then convert it to mathematical notation. So in words, this diagram is actually showing, so although the question does not require that you do that, you can even practice doing that. This diagram is showing all the numbers that are less than 4. And as I'm doing this, you can do this with part A in the assignment. Here it is. That's at 1 pointing towards the left. Mine starts at 4 pointing towards the left. All the numbers that are less than 4. So here is the description of what this diagram, the information of what this diagram is conveying, and we're going to translate it to mathematical notation. All the numbers that are less than 4. And there's another way to write this. There's another way to write this very same notation. All the numbers that are less than 4. So this and that are the same. I would encourage you to practice doing that. Those two notation is communicating the same information. You see, the point is on the X is less than 4. All the numbers that are less than 4. X is less than 4. All the numbers that are less than 4. Practice reading from right to left in mathematics. It is possible. So we're going to do an example like B and C. Okay, so let's put this horizontal. Good. And let's put this, well, this one is on -1, B is on -1, C is on -2. So we can go -6. Okay, pointing towards the right. So what this diagram is showing now is all the numbers that are greater or equal to -6. So because this circle is shaded, you must mention the word equal. So we're going to write it in words. I would encourage you to do that, even though the question does not say to write it in words, it just say write down the inequality. It means this statement. But I would encourage you to write it down in words, give you more control, be more deliberate in what you are doing. All the numbers that are greater than or equal to 6. See numbers like 6 itself. I'm -6, sorry. All the numbers that are greater than or equal, not and, or equal to -6. Now, recall I said the word negative, and I also recently I reflected on that word because I'm, having to lecture it in different areas. Why we calling towards the left of 0 negative? When we talk in common language, we normally say we never refer negativity to unpleasant things. So why the mathematicians use that word negative towards the left and positive towards the right? What is so good towards the right and what is so bad to? I'm not too sure. So apart from saying -6, you can say 6 units towards the left side of 0. Okay, so apart from saying negative, you can say on the left side of 0, six units. So you can practice doing that. Okay. So this is what this is conveying in words. All the numbers that are greater than or equal to -6, or you can say on the left side of 0, 6 units. So you're starting on the left side of 0, 6 units, and you're going upwards. And in mathematical notation, all the numbers are represented by the letter X, greater than or equal to, because you want the opening to be facing the X, -6. Or there's another way to write this. If you're reading from left to right, you can write it like that. But if you're reading from right to left, all the numbers that are, now the opening have to face the X. The opening have to face the X because you want to say greater than or equal to. So all the numbers are, or X is greater than or equal to -6. Those two are conveying the same information.